Hi class, today we are going to be doing a math lesson on grouping with tens and the tens conversation. So our standards for today are numbers and operations in base 10, number 5, and number 6. Students should be able to quickly identify groups of 10 in order to strengthen regrouping skills, and they should also be able to understand how to make number sentences using a 10 frame and understand how to manipulate numbers by themselves. So to start off our lesson for today, we are going to count from 0 to 120. So we would start 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. So then we could count back from 120 to 0, 120, 110, 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, and 10, and 0. So when adding and subtracting numbers, this can be sometimes tricky, but you are able to group things into 10 and make them easier. So if we had a number like 17 and we needed to add 12 to it, that might be kind of hard, but if we make it as 20 plus 10, that's 30, and then we would use our previous knowledge to take 3 from that and 3 from the 17 that we added to make 20 and subtract the 2, and we would get 29. So that was obviously hard for me to do in my head and able to show you, but we have this nice thing that we call a 10 frame. And a 10 frame can be used in both addition and subtraction, and it helps make our subtraction problems a little bit easier, and it helps you guys to understand groups of 10. So a 10 can be thought of as a bundle of ones. This is called a 10. So a 10 would be what we have in our 10 frame here. So as you can see, we have 10 counters. So you can count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 ones right here. So if I have a group of 17, how many 10s can be made with that number? How many 10s are in that number? So that would be one group of 10s and 7 left over. So that number's 17. So now with our full 10 frame, you see these ones that we have extra over here. So this would be a full 10 frame, which is 10, and then we have 1, 2, 3 extra counters on the side. So it would be 10 plus 3 is 13. So this is the first number in this 2-digit number, and then this one's the second number. This helps us understand our place value. This is the tens position, this is the ones position. So at this point in the class, I would hand out laminated 10 frames for each student, and I would hand out also a box of conversation hearts if it was Valentine's Day, or M&Ms, or Skittles, or something simple that would make the lesson more fun for the kids, but I chose conversation hearts because they're clean. So now with your guys' 10 frames and your counters, I want you guys to see how many different sets of numbers that you can make. Remember that your tens frame here represents the 10 place value holder, and then you'd have ones on the outside if you want to make it a 2-digit number. Now, if I was in an actual classroom, I would have the students come up to the board over a projector and show the class their number that they made and explain how they did that. This would help me to more fully understand if they got the concept of what a 10 frame was, and this would also help them to see that their peers are doing this as well. So, what number does this represent? Without counting each individual counter, just by looking at the 10 frames, what number is represented here? Okay, 20, that's right. So with our 10 frames, we're able to make addition and subtraction sentences. So we've been talking about how an addition sentence is one number with a plus sign and another number. So with this, we'll use our previous number of 13, which is right here, and we're going to add 3 more to that. So if we have 13 and we add 3 more, that's going to be 16. So you can count 10, and then to make it so much easier, this little nice 10 frame, you can go 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So for another example, if I was to have one full 10 frame and 6 counters outside the frame, and then I wanted to add 2 counters to that, what number would that equal? So if you already have a full 10 frame, you can start at 10 and you can add 6 more. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Then you have the 2 counters that you wanted to add. So then you add from 16, you add 2 more, and 16, 17, 18. So that would be 18 counters in all. So with the 10 frames that you guys have, I want you to see what's the biggest number sentence that you can make, addition-wise, with your 10 frames and the counters that you're given. So next, we're going to do subtraction. So as we've previously learned, subtraction is just taking away from the number that we already have. So if we use our 10 frames, we're able to see if we have a full 10 frame and it's going to be 10. We want to take 4 away from that. So we would just cross off 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're left with 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that means that 10 take away 4 is 6. Alright guys, so now we have an example that'll be able to stretch your brains a little bit. So if we know that one full 10 frame is 10, and we have another 10 frame, so we have 10 plus 10 equals 20. So if I have 2 full 10 frames and I want to take 4 away from that, how would we show that? At this point, I'd walk around and see if they would manipulate and move their 10 frames and be able to move their counters around and see if they could do it. And so we would have 20, take away 4 would be 16. This would be 16 counters in all, and they would be able to show me and count out 16 of those counters. So now you guys have shown me what 20 take away 4 is. You guys can eat the candy hearts. And while we're doing this, we're gonna get ready and we're gonna do some group work. We're gonna split into our math groups and we're gonna work on the counting tens and ones worksheet. This worksheet shouldn't be very difficult. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'll attach it for you guys to look at. But I would walk around and make sure that they were understanding that there's tens and ones, and they could use their 10 frames to manipulate the numbers that they're given to use. After about 10 minutes of group work, we would go on to their individual learning, and they would be given the base 10 and place value worksheets. Any work that they don't finish in this time, they would take home as homework. This worksheet is very self-explanatory. This has a little bit more of an assessment that I'm able to look at so that I can understand if they are fully getting the concept of using a 10 frame to add and subtract numbers. And then our check for understanding. So today we should have learned what a 10 frame represents. Well, a 10 frame represents a group of 10 ones, also called a 10. If you're given a subtraction problem or an addition problem, what sort of tools can you use to solve that number equation? You can use the 10 frames that we've been given, or you can also use some of the previous examples that we have learned. And then for our homework, we have the Daisy Dinos worksheet is our actual homework, and then the base 10 and place value worksheets, anything that wasn't done in the individual learning class time. So, that's it for today, you guys. Thanks and have a great day.